Folks, well, we are on scene here, and it has been a bit interesting. The location for our setup here is a very large apartment complex. I would venture to say there's a couple of thousand doors in this apartment complex, um, close to 100 different buildings, and we had to find the particular building. So that was first. We had to find the building, so then we knew the location of where the subject's vehicle might be, and then I did find the subject's vehicle. So I am parked directly in front of the building that I am supposed to be watching. His car is off to my left. I can't see his car, but I can see the primary exit that he would probably use of the building to get to his car. So we are all set up. I'm hoping that we're going to have a lot of activity. We've had a lot of activity on this case before. Two other investigators have worked it before, and there was a considerable amount of activity for both of those investigators. He went to the grocery store, went to a pizza shop, he went to a gas station, and some other things. He was captured on video doing a lot of different things, walking, entering his car, carrying things, picking up things in the grocery store and stuff. So we do anticipate that we will have a good deal of activity here. There's a lot of activity around the neighborhood, so I have to kind of keep an eye out, make sure nobody's taking too much notice of me while I'm sitting here. So when things start to happen, I will let you know. This video is sponsored by OREP Insurance and Working PI Magazine. OREP is a leading provider of private investigator liability insurance. Visit orep.org for a quote today. Folks, and welcome to daylight. The sun has finally started to peek out a little bit. We do have some clouds coming in. It is supposed to be cloudy today. Slight chance of moisture, but high winds coming in. I actually like when we have some inclement weather when I'm on surveillance, because that becomes a distraction. Not necessarily a distraction for me. I mean, it can be, but it's more of a distraction for the subject. If they walk out and it's snowing or it's raining or there's 30-mile-an-hour winds, they are, of course, going to be worried about those elements and getting to their vehicle or going to wherever they're going to go. So that is one of the things that I will have to overcome in the challenges today is the weather. But again, I do like it because it does provide for a good distraction. The clouds are nice too. It is about it's like mid-20s out here right now, so it is kind of cold outside. I did have to go walking around looking for this building, so I know that it's plenty cold out there, but it's not too bad sitting here in my car. And even if it's in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, I think the highs are supposed to be in the low 40s today. If that sun is shining up there, it's going to turn this car into an oven. It will get at 40 degrees outside with full sun. It will get to be in the mid to upper 90s, if not low 100s inside of a car if you're sitting there. You have to keep that in mind when you're out on surveillance. So having the clouds actually help it keep it a little bit cooler. It also helps give me a little more cover. It's kind of hard to tell in the camera, I know. When you look at the windows over here, they are very bright, but they are very darkly tinted. That's just the light that you're seeing coming in. I know from walking around looking at things earlier that you can't see inside my vehicle, and I always usually try to double check if I'm capable of doing that without exposing myself to all of the people around. I have to go out on foot surveillance and locate the building. They do have numbers on the building, but they're very difficult to read driving around. I could only see a couple of them. So I had to go around and look for it. There are about 100 buildings in here, and I'm not going to give the exact building number, but let's say I was looking for building number 21. I could find 19, 20, but no 21. I could find 23, 24. So it was kind of tucked into a corner and not where you would logically expect it to be. But finding the building is a whole lot easier in one of these complexes than finding the vehicle many times. You could drive around and drive around. I drove past his vehicle multiple times and had not noticed it because I wasn't looking for it right where it was parked, because I was looking for the building. But once I found the building, then I was able to figure out, well, these are the places people would logically park if you're in that building. And then I found his car right away. So again, I'm watching the building right over there, kind of in front of me and to my 10 o'clock. His car is directly over to my left, about 4 or 5 parking spaces. I can't see it, but if he leaves, the only way he can go is that way to get out. He might be able to go all the way around, but I don't even believe he can do that. I believe this is the exit. I think there's multiple exits in here, but each one has its own little section, if you will. There's a shopping district not too far from here where he's been known to go to the grocery store and gas station and places like that. I scoped that out when I got here too. I always try to get to these a little bit earlier so I can check everything out, know where I'm going and stuff. If I can, I will go out the day before or another day during the daytime and check things out, but I wasn't anywhere close to being in this area of the metro area in the last few days, so I wasn't able to go out. So this case, as I had said, it is a workers' comp case. The claimant has a lot of different claimed injuries, and he's only able to work limited capability. As far as I know, he hasn't been working at all, but it does list him as light work only. I think that's just a limitation if he's going to go out and look for work. He is able to drive. We do have a vehicle that is registered to him. I do have photos of him. I have photos of his girlfriend. And a nice thing is, because he was worked by 2 other investigators before, I have photos of him recently, and he dresses uniquely, and I'll leave it at that. But by his dress, I should be able to identify him fairly easily once I see him the way he normally dresses and his mannerisms and how he walks and things like that. Noted in the notes from the other investigators, one of the things that he tends to do a lot is whenever he gets into his car, it takes him a couple minutes before he leaves. It is time for me to get one of my time shots. This is one of those things that I have to do periodically. Every hour, I get what is called a time shot or an integrity shot for the client, which shows that I'm here. Not all clients require that, but a lot of them do. This is an insurance job. The company does require time shots, but when I take on a private client, to them the time shots, but I do require my investigators to obtain time shots while they're out in the field. And that is more of a just in case the client comes back and says, you know, I don't know if you were really there. Can you prove you were really there? What happened at this time? You know, different things like that. That's what they're really for. And a lot of people call them integrity shots, just to show your integrity that you were there. Now, that's not to say you can't go into your camera and change the time. I could easily do that. But you can usually tell with shadows and clouds and different things like that. Generally, the time shots, what the client wants to have is a shot of the residence, a shot of the vehicle, a shot of the surrounding area, so they can get a more holistic look at everything there. And that's my camera. I have it plugged in to my DC to AC converter here. So I have it like that so I can leave this open all the time and it's on all the time. So all I have to do is pull it up very quick, hit the record button, and I am good to go. I don't have any wait time. On this particular camera, there is a slight delay from flipping it open until you can actually start recording on it. So having it plugged in all the time, I don't have any kind of delay like that whatsoever. Equipment I have, of course, I have my trusty, my iPhone 6 with the Lawmate battery pack looking case for it, but it's actually a spy cam. The camera's right there, so smile, you are on surveillance. So I can flip the buttons here. There's 3 different buttons on the back. One of them is for power. One of them is to turn the Wi-Fi on, because the phone actually connects to it through Wi-Fi. Once you turn it on, it automatically starts recording. You don't have to have a phone in here for it to work. It stores all of the video internally, but having the phone on here, I can control it, I can stop it, I can pause it, different things like that. And then one of the other buttons on there is for motion detection. So I can set it up with motion detection, set it on a table or set it up on my dash or something like that. When somebody walks by, then of course it starts recording. I also have this one here, and this is a Lawmate key fob camera, very similar to that one. This one is Wi-Fi as well. Of course, it doesn't have a phone on the back of it, but it has the Wi-Fi capability, so I can use my regular phone or even use the iPhone and connect to this and then control it. So I can do the exact same thing. So the camera here is right there. And I have all of my equipment listed up on the PI Guy official web page, freeprivateinvestigatortraining.com, and I have a link down below if you want to look at any of that equipment. Well, folks, we are on the road. My subject is active, and we are on the freeway. He's actually getting a few cars ahead of me here, so I have to pay close attention. So he just left a little bit ago. It did appear like he was by himself. I was able to gain a little bit of video of him as he walked towards his vehicle, and now he is speeding down the highway. I have him about 3 cars in front of me, which is a safe distance. We're in the far left lane, so we're in the high-speed lane, if you will. We're hitting 65 going 75. I don't normally speed when I'm following somebody, but in situations like this where it's kind of the natural flow of traffic, then that's kind of the way I go with it. I just go with the flow. I can see traffic slowing down up here. So I will give you an update as soon as I figure out where he's going, okay? Hey, folks, just wanted to give you another quick update. We're still on the freeway, and we're going, but I'm going over 80, and he's pulling away from me. And he is in with a bunch of other cars going about that speed. That's a little too fast for me. I always recommend to err on the side of caution. So he's probably a good quarter of a mile ahead of me, but every time we crest a hill, I can see him. So I'm fairly confident I'll be able to see him when we get close to any exits that he may take. I'll know that that's happening. So just want to let you know it is kind of crazy out here. I am going still pretty fast, and he's still pulling away from me, him and several other cars up there. So I'll give you another update in a little bit. Okay, folks, well, that was one wild ride. My subject was literally going well over 80 miles an hour in a 65. We drove clear to the opposite corner of town, about 30, 40 miles away from his residence. I'm in the Denver metro area here. He is inside an office building and not sure what he's doing, but I'm going to go on foot surveillance here, and I'm going to go see if I can figure out what's going on. Well, okay, folks, I went in there, went on foot surveillance, walked around the parking lot, checked out the signs on all the doors in there. I did not see my subject. There's a lot of different offices. I can see all the names over there. I got a screenshot of it with my camera. That's always something good to do. I'm going to go ahead and get another one too. But that's going to list all of the offices that are in there. There's attorneys, and there's just all kinds of professional offices. So who knows, maybe he's talking with an attorney or something, but I'll keep you posted. Okay, folks, well, my subject has exited. I got a lot more video of him, and we are back on the road, and we're going to see how fast we are going to be driving this time. He's already gotten a little ways away from me, but I am confident that I can stick with him. After you do this for a while, kind of just grow those confidence levels. We should have to keep track of everything around here. Not sure where he's going. I do in my GPS have his home plugged in to my GPS unit. So if he goes back to the residence, of course, I've got a quick way to get there. A lot of times if I think they're going to their residence, I won't necessarily stick really close to them. Once I get to a certain distance, get to a certain proximity within the residence, then I might back off a little bit and let them go, so I'm not, right on their tail the entire time. Or I may go ahead of them if they drive really slow this guy's not that case, but I might go ahead of him and get set up ahead of time. So I see him. He's right up there. He's about a half a block in front of me. So I will keep you updated as to what's going on. Okay, I just thought I'd give you a really quick update. I had let a car get between us, and then, and this was a difficult decision to make, but the light turned red and the car in front of me stopped, which is kind of unusual. Most people just go through. So he got through, and I am stuck at a light. He got through the next light too, but I did see him. He's up in the next turn lane at the next light, and he's taking a left. So just something to keep in mind when you're out here. I figured he was probably going back towards his residence, so I knew he was going to be going left up here at some point. So I didn't want to get over in the right-hand lane. Otherwise, I could have lost him when he turned. But now I'm actually a couple blocks behind him, thanks to the car in front of me. So it's just something that you have to keep in mind, and it does happen. And when it happens, well, you know what? You just have to kind of live with it, and you go on. So I'll let you know what's going on here in a little bit. Okay, folks, well, the chase is definitely on. We are on the freeway. He is a little ways ahead of me. I was able to catch up to him. Knowing where the spots are that are going to slow people down, knowing where the bottlenecks are in the highways in the city that you're driving is very important. If you know that, I don't have to go so crazy when he gets ahead of me, because I know eventually I'm going to probably catch up to him at a certain interchange or a certain intersection, because there's always a slowdown. So I was able to do that, but here we are. We're going 80 again in a 65, and there's a whole lot of cars doing this, so I'm not worried about myself getting pulled over or getting in an accident or anything like that. I'm hands-free with the phone. I know I should have those on the steering wheel, but it is getting a little bit exciting. He's heading right now. It appears like he's heading into downtown Denver or back to his residence. So I will keep you updated as we progress. Well, folks, we're back at the residence. Let's see what happens now. I didn't know if I was going to be able to get the recording started or not for this, but I did. So let's see what we find. His car is parked pretty close to the same place it was before, which is good. He has really, really dark tinted windows, illegally tinted windows, I might add. So I can't tell if anybody's inside or not. But it did not appear like there was anybody, even in really dark tinted windows. I was coming from the north looking at him. So I could see fairly well in there, and I did not see him in there. So we're going to set up on a stationary position, and we are going to see what occurs. Okay, folks, well, I am set up on my stationary position. I am not set up at the residence per se. I am in the apartment complex. However, there was no place for me to conveniently sit and watch without being made inside the complex itself. I think I mentioned this is a very, very large apartment complex. I would say there's around 50 to 100 buildings in here. I don't know the exact number, but there's a lot. There's 1,000 to 2,000 doors. It is a gated community as well. However, the gates are open all the time. I have worked this many times. In fact, I had a criminal case not too long ago where I had to come in here at night and do lots of interviews with potential witnesses and stuff to that case. And in fact, with that one, I brought a security detail with me when I did that. It's not in the best neighborhoods in Denver. And when I pulled in to look for a place, I noticed a couple of gentlemen that are just wandering around. Almost looks like they're wandering aimlessly, but you can tell they're looking with their eyes to the right and to the left, and they're looking at everything. And when I would make eye contact with them, of course, they would quickly look away the other way. It appears as if they are lookouts for something, and I don't want to get involved in that. So the position I'm in right now is actually by the exit to the complex. I'm not too far away. I can go out on foot surveillance and get my time shots if I need to. With my covert camera, that's fine. And I am right where I can see and quickly get in the chase if the subject leaves the area. So this is where I'm going to sit for a little while, and we'll see how it goes, okay? Well, folks, we have had a little bit of activity. The subject did leave with his girlfriend. They ran over to a fast food place and got some food and have returned. Nothing major, but we did have a little more activity. And now I am back in the apartment complex. I was able to find a secure position. I believe it's secured, that I can see everything around me pretty much 360 degrees. And I can watch his building and his vehicle. So I will let you know if anything else happens. Well, folks, this one is a wrap, as they say. No more activity, but it has been a good day. We got our full 8 hours of surveillance in. I'm very happy when I get a full 8 hours of surveillance. So why don't you go down in the comments below. Let me know if you like these type of videos and if you would like me to continue doing them. But we are on the road, folks, and we are ready to go. I'll tell you a little bit about this case. It is a personal injury type of case. The subject that we are surveilling today has numerous injuries. In fact, reading through the list of injuries that he has and understanding a little bit about his accident cases and the case in total, I do believe he probably will display as injured. I believe he probably is injured. And then the question is, well, why would we be doing surveillance on somebody that we believe may be injured? And we're going to get to that here in just a little bit. Let me tell you a little bit more about this case. It is up in a smaller rural community up in the mountains. And the subject is known to get down into the big city, into the Denver metro area from time to time. I have worked this case before, so I have a little bit of insight as to some of his behaviors and places that he may be going. The subject is an older individual. When I say older, I'm not talking 80s, 90s, 70s. I'm talking just a more mature person. When you are working with somebody that's a little more mature in life, in their 50s, 60s, even their late 40s, you have to be aware of certain things. As a general rule, older people are going to be a little more aware of their surroundings. They're going to notice things that other people may not notice. Your face may not always be stuck in a cell phone. Now, I know I've worked some and they're just as bad as a 20-year-old or a 15-year-old or a 10-year-old, which shouldn't have a phone anyway, but we're not even going to go into that discussion right now. But they are a little more aware of their surroundings. They are more likely to notice something that doesn't belong there. If they've lived where they currently reside for a while, they're going to notice cars that probably don't belong there, things like that. So you have to watch out for that. And they're going to notice the same vehicle over and over. And this is a reason why you always do a little bit of a social background or an open source intelligence OSINT investigation on your subject. This particular individual I know is a car enthusiast. He likes older cars, collector cars, things like that. But just the fact that he is a vehicle, a car enthusiast, he's probably going to notice certain types of vehicles. So you have to keep that in mind. I also know that as a general rule, he drives kind of normal. He can get aggressive. But the last time I was working him, he drove a little bit slower too. But then we were in the downtown metro area, and it's kind of hard to speed around in downtown. So anyway, that's a little bit about the case. We are about an hour and a half out to this case. So it's going to be a long day. You can do the math. I do 8 hours of surveillance, and I have an hour and a half on each side of it, and then a couple of hours of report time and video editing time. Well, it gets to be a pretty long day, 13, 14-hour day. And that's the way some cases just are. I don't know of any designed short surveillance cases. Yeah, we get some that are just 4-hour activity checks or 2-hour spot checks, things like that. And those are great when you have those shorter days, but I like to make a full day's pay. And when I get 13, 14 hours in, well, that's definitely a full day's pay. So just if you're thinking about getting into surveillance, a lot of this is getting up in the wee hours in the morning. This particular case is starting a little bit later than normal, just because we know some of its patterns. Normally, I prefer to be on scene at 6 a.m. when it's dark, and or a little bit before then. This one we're going to be going out. We're going to be there just a little after sunrise, which is fine. We'll be going a little later in the afternoon. The weather is cool. It's 32 degrees right now, but it is windy. We have winds, 15 to 30 mile an hour winds, gusts 40 to 50 miles an hour. So that makes it very, very, very cold. But it's going to be up around 60 degrees today and sunshiny. So I am in proper apparel for that, because once I park and I know where I'm going to probably park, once I park and I'm sitting there in full sun, it's going to warm up in this car really, really quick. So I will come back to you when we get on scene, or if I think of something that we need to talk about. Okay. Hey folks, I want to talk a little bit about situational awareness. I had brought that up when you're watching an older individual, that they tend to be a little more aware of the situation, aware of their surroundings. They have a little more situational awareness to them. And this is key. And you as a private investigator need to make sure that you have situational awareness. You've probably heard this before. You need to be, when you're on surveillance, watching around. It's like I'm driving right now and I'm watching. I'm checking other things. I'm looking for cars behind me. The same thing when you're sitting. You're not going to be staring at your phone, playing video games, reading books, writing reports, or doing other things like that. You need to keep your eyes on the prize, and you need to also be aware of what's going on, so you don't suddenly have somebody knocking on your rear window or your side window or peeking in your back window, trying to see why you're there. You at least want to know if the neighbors are aware of you. Another thing that I use for situational awareness is a piece of software on my phone. So I had to take a little different route coming into this case. I'm heading into the metro area, but suddenly my little program on my phone that I use called Waze, W-A-Z-E, Waze, told me to take a different route. And normally you might think, well, that's kind of weird. Your GPS just changed your route on you. But I've used this software so much that I know what is going on. Is there is something going on ahead of me. There's a traffic jam, there's an accident, something like that. So I went ahead and I drug really quick on my phone to look, and sure enough, it appeared like there was an accident a few miles ahead of me, and it was going to take me on a different route. So I got off that route, and that situational awareness is something that you can't have without a tool like that. And maybe you have something else. Maybe you use Google Maps. Waze was bought out by Google some years back. But there's other pieces of software. I just like to use the older version of Waze on here, and it will reroute me. So make sure you are always doing whatever you can to be aware of the situation you're going into, and that's doing your preliminary work, the situation where you're at, and the situation around you while you are driving. I actually had a case that I was just on, and I was following a subject, and I had my Waze up on my phone, as I always do when I'm driving, and my subject is tending to lean and stay to the left lane. We were coming up to an intersection where he could get onto a major interstate in the Denver metro area, and I figured he was going to do that, but I was looking at my Waze and I saw that there was a big accident up ahead. Traffic was slowing down, and we were starting to see that already. And so instead of me being over in the far left lane, because I could kind of tell on there where the accident was, and I knew by the routing it was trying to tell me to take, that I probably wasn't going to be able to get on the interstate. So what I did, instead of staying in the far left lane, I stayed a little behind my subject and over in the right lane. Now, when I do this, I watch the vehicles around me all of the time. So I always make sure, just in case I'm wrong, just in case the situation changes, I can get back over to the left lane really quick. But I'm watching the car behind me, and if there's a big space between the car behind me and the car behind them over in the left lane, then what I'll do is let that other car get a little closer. So if I need to, what I can do is slow down very quickly, and I can hit my turn signal and I can move over into that left lane. But sure enough, we got up to that interchange. He hits his left turn signal way too early. but he hit it, so I knew he was planning on turning there, and he couldn't. I ended up passing him because I could see ahead. He wasn't paying attention to what was ahead. I could see ahead, and I knew that he wasn't going to be getting on the interstate up there. So I ended up passing him, pulled off into a convenience store, let him go by, and then I was able to get back in. But just being aware of everything, and that's why you always want to be watching ahead. If there are tools that you can use safely while you're driving, then do that too. Okay, I'll get back to you when we get on scene, okay? Okay, folks, we are on scene. We're just pulling into the neighborhood here. And I pulled over, got everything ready. It's just around the corner. So I am going to pull in. Hopefully my subject's vehicle is there. I'm going to get my initial video shot of the day and go from there. This one is a bit tricky because on the road I am at right now, the subject has access to exit on the road I'm at, plus a road to the east and a road to the west. And we're at the residence, and go figure, there is no vehicle presence. There is a possible vehicle. It looks like it belongs to the next door neighbors, probably. So it does not appear like he's home. Of course, there is a two-car garage. I shouldn't say he's not home. There is a two-car garage, and it is, the garage door is closed. There is no snow. The last time I worked this, there was a lot of snow here. And I could tell that people were parking probably on the driveway because I just know when you live in a snowy area, you can kind of tell whether a driveway is being used to park in or a driveway is being used just to drive through. I'm going to drive back past it again, going the other way because the windows are open in the front, the window coverings, and I can see through the house. I don't see any activity in there. So I'm going to find a location here to set up for stationary surveillance, and then I will let you know once I am set up. Okay, folks, I am all set up here, and the subject residence that I'm watching is actually over my left shoulder back behind me. I'm kind of on a cross street here. It's just a couple of houses away from the intersection. This is one of the things I love about the camera that I have, and I'm going to show you my setup here in just a second. But I have my camera set on a clamp tripod, and it's actually pointing out my window over at it. So I don't have to be pointing directly at the house. I can actually just sit here and look. And the camera has a menu selection on it on the screen. So I have the flip screen flipped inside, so it's not out, and it's flipped to the outside so I can see it on the side of the camera. And I have the menu set up so I have a record button right there. So if I see activity, I can just hit that little red button on the screen and it will start recording. So I'm going to show you that really quick. Hang on here. So here is the setup right here. You can actually see the clamp-on tripod that I have attached to my steering wheel and the camera there. And I'm going to blur out that picture, but hopefully you'll be able to see like a little red button that I can hit. So it's just looking over my corner. This is really nice for a lot of different things. So hopefully that helped you a little bit. There is a link down below that goes to the official PI Guy website, freeprivateinvestigatortraining.com. There is a list there that has all of my equipment. So if you're interested in purchasing one of these, and I think I have another one here because I always carry a couple of everything. I have another one of those clamp tripods right here. I'll show you. So it has the end there. It has a swivel end. You can clamp it to just about anything, and you can see it opens up pretty good. I use it a lot on my steering wheel, whether I'm shooting straight ahead. I've used it to be able to shoot behind me, over my shoulder like I am right now, which works really good. So I'm set up. I am not blacked out, just given the location that I'm at. If he goes active, I am probably going to have to go active really, really quick. I'm not going to have time to get everything down, and I'm starting a little later in the day, so it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to start out completely blacked out. Usually cases like this, I'm going to have some kind of activity in the first hour or two. So hopefully we will get something going here pretty soon with him, and I will let you know once we are active. Okay, folks, we are a couple hours into the surveillance here, and so far there has been no activity on the subject's behalf. I haven't seen any activity at the residence. I did go out and I did a walk by. The window dressings, the curtains are open. You can see in. I can see a light or two further back into the residence, so hopefully he's in there. We're just going to have to keep waiting to see what happens. There's plenty of activity throughout the neighborhood. I've had the neighbors right next to where I'm parked. The gentleman keeps coming out and letting his dogs out and feeds his dogs and puts something out for his little doggies to lay down on. And he hasn't taken any notice of me. The dogs are barking at other things, not me. Sometimes people get a little worried when dogs start barking like they're going to give them away. But if you're being still enough and quiet enough, that probably won't happen. I'm also in a shady spot, so I have my dark tinted windows, and I don't have a window covering up, but I have my visors down, and so it's fairly dark in here. And then with the shade from the tree that I am parked next to, it's keeping it fairly dark here, which will be nice too as it gets warmer. It's supposed to be up around 60 or the low 60s today. And I'll tell you what, if it's 65 degrees out there and you're in direct sunlight, your vehicle will be an oven. It will get up to 105, 110 degrees pretty quick in your vehicle. So you want to make sure you consider those things. If I have to, I'll park in full sun. If I don't have to, I will find a shady spot to park in. And I have other devices, fans and my Swampy. I didn't bring my Swampy with me today because it's not going to be that hot. But I have other devices that will help keep me cool in the summer when I'm out on surveillance as well. So I'm going to just stay here and continue diligently watching my camera and waiting for the subject to go active. And I'll let you know when that happens. Okay, folks, we are on the move. I did get a little bit of activity. I got a little video of the subject as his vehicle pulled out of the garage and took off. So I'm actually right behind him at a stoplight right now. We're on the move. Hopefully this will lead to something exciting. The wind has really picked up. I think I mentioned the weather before. It was supposed to be high around 60 degrees today, clear skies, but we have like 15 to 20 mile an hour winds with gusts up to 40 to 50 miles per hour. So sitting here kind of in the foothills in the lower elevations of the mountains, the wind is really blowing a lot. So anyway, I did not get video of the subject himself. I did get video of his vehicle, and I probably got a face shot of him in the vehicle, but he didn't come walking out. He didn't, mow his lawn or do anything crazy like that. So I will get back with you when we get to wherever it is that we're going to. Okay, folks, well, we are down out of the mountain. It's still following. It's been pretty successful thus far as the follow goes. I haven't had any concerns. He is ahead of me just a couple of cars, but the traffic is light enough that if I need to switch lanes to get through a light or anything like that, I'm generally able to do that. So I'm not too worried about losing him at this particular moment. He does have a unique vehicle, too. He actually came from another state and recently moved to Colorado. So he has license plates that are from the other state. That's actually the state where the accident occurred, where he was injured. So he's got that, and he's got a unique vehicle, not one that's seen around here all the time. I mean, there are some, but it actually kind of stands out, which really helps. You want to notice things like that, whether it's the license plate, if they have a novelty license plate, if they have an out-of-state plate, those things really help a lot. Or a bumper sticker. I'm looking at the back of the car too, and there is a bumper sticker of the dealer that where he potentially purchased it from. It's not really a bumper sticker, but you know what I mean. They put that little sticker on the back, and it's in all white text. That makes it kind of stand out too on a dark vehicle. So it's easy for me to keep an eye on him up a ways away from me. So anyway, we are coming up to another light here, and I'll be right behind him again. But I will let you know when we are wherever we're going. Okay, folks, we have made it to downtown Denver. I followed the subject here. He is right across the way there. I'm going to get a little bit of video. Not sure exactly what he's going to be doing, so I'll just keep shooting video. He's probably going to get out of his car, I imagine. Took me a second to get parked here, but when I get out, I'm gonna have to change my hat, change my glasses, put my regular glasses on, and go on foot surveillance. I've been following him for a while with this hat and my sunglasses, so I just want to change things up a little bit. I might change my shirt, not sure. He's getting out and he's paying the meter. I'm gonna have to do that too. I'm at a meter, so I'm gonna have to stick my card in there and max it out. Who knows how long. We're literally downtown Denver, right off of the 16th Street Mall. So there he goes. I'm gonna have to go. Well, folks, it has been a little bit exciting. He was downtown. He met a younger couple, I'm going to assume his daughter or his son. It seemed like it was probably his daughter. Had lunch with them, and then they walked around a little bit, did a little window shopping, and now we are back on the road and kind of heading towards his residence. So I'll keep you informed. Well, folks, it's been an interesting day, to say the least. I did end up following him to multiple other locations. I wasn't able to get a lot of that on video just because things were just happening so fast. He went to a grocery store, to a Walgreens drugstore, and then he stopped and he fueled up, and then he did end up eventually at home, and now the day's over. After he got back to his residence, I kind of just sat outside of the residence, outside of the direct neighborhood, because I'd been following him for a long time today, and I got a little nervous. You know, you can only see somebody so many times. I think the way the FBI says it is if you've passed somebody, if they've directly seen you or your vehicle 3 times, then you could be compromised. And I'd been behind him a lot. In fact, I started following him at a distance. And when he stopped at a gas station to get gas, that really got me a little nervous right there, because I was afraid he was like going out of town or something, and we were going to be on a long road trip. Anyway, that one is in the books, all outside of the fact that I've got to edit the video, write the report, create the invoice, send everything off to the client. But it's a good day. Now, I think I had mentioned earlier I was going to explain to you why sometimes we might be out doing surveillance on a subject such as this individual who is obviously injured. And throughout my observations today, I could tell that he was definitely injured. His back was injured, his shoulder was injured. And the reasoning behind that, why some insurance companies might do that, is because they need to make sure that the subject is, or the claimant is, doing what they are supposed to be doing. Sometimes it's not always a matter of they think they're faking it, and they could be. I mean, they could fake it really good. You know, if they believe that somebody's following them or maybe following them, then they can also fake it really well too. But in this particular case, I'm fairly certain that he was really injured just because of the nature of the accident that he was in and the nature of his injuries. So what will happen with an insurance company is something flags the case, and it makes somebody in the SIU, Special Investigations Unit, or someone in, one of the case managers or somebody else involved believe that there may be some kind of fraud going on. Not necessarily that there is. They do not just take a random picking of claims and send people out to surveil them. They do not surveil every case. I've been doing this a long time, and I've talked with a lot of adjusters and SIU agents with insurance companies, and I know that they have to have some kind of a red flag that comes up. You know, they've had multiple claims, similar claims, things like that. I had one like that a while back, a few years back, where a gentleman had a claim about every 4 or 5 years. It seemed like about every downturn in business, he would end up working with a trucking company and getting injured when he was by himself. When I surveilled him, he had a construction company of his own, and it was a downturn in the economy, and he was slow and didn't have a whole lot of work. And so, lo and behold, he had gone out and got injured on the job, fell off of some part of the truck and hurt his knee or something. We did end up doing a ton of surveillance on that case, and the insurance company was able to prove that it was a false claim, and they did prevail in that case. But anyway, on ones like this, a lot of times they just need to know that the person's doing what they're supposed to be doing. And if they're supposed to be wearing a brace, for instance, he was supposed to have his arm in a brace. He did have his arm in a brace. You know, they're making sure that they're doing things that they're supposed to be doing, that they're not lifting more than they're supposed to be lifting, or pushing or pulling or dragging or anything like that. So anyway, that's that one. And that's going to make a wrap for this video. So I'll catch you in the next video. And hey, go down in the comments below. Let me know if you like these types of videos.